we see a massive correction through the market, obviously your majors like your Bitcoins, your ETH, even your Solana, maybe less than 10% drop. But when you look at the altcoins, absolutely ripped. It offers a great opportunity to see where the market is betting as the fastest horse out of the gates.
There's a lot of noise at the moment around like collateralization of assets.
Yep.
So like lending your Bitcoin or your crypto to get capital out without like incurring taxable events. The use cases like that are popping up and going to continue to grow. I still think there is a pretty strong barrier to entry for the average user.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of the Tapping Into Crypto podcast. You've got me, Pav, and Tommy. Mate,
I'm back.
It's been a long time. I don't think we've done a potty together in God knows how
Yeah,
long.
it was myself and Ted the last couple of episodes.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm back and in the new environment. Pretty snazzy in here.
Yeah, it feels special, right?
Up market, up budget.
That's what we said. We won't tell you when the top is in, but there'll be signs.
Yes. Gives me whiskey bar vibes, which I'm a big fan of. So.
Well, we need to fix that, really, because it would only be a whiskey bar if there was whiskey, right?
Good
producers?
point. Very good point. Yeah, Lee, you okay with sorting that out maybe for next week?
Yeah. We got a thumbs up.
Thumbs up from Lee. All right. Wouldn't be the first time I did it on stage.
What's that?
Have some whiskey.
Where?
We did it at Blockchain Australia week last year, which is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are we doing this week?
Mate, we are talking markets. So obviously been a pretty bumper week. This Monday was pretty eventful.
Yeah, it was the first bit of fear factor in the market that we've seen for probably, 3 or 4 months? 3 months even? It
seems like it's been pretty clear. Well, not clear sailing, but I mean, you'd definitely say that run up into 100K was pretty jubilous or lots of happy people. And then
it was only up. It's been only up for about 3 months pretty much. Right?
Yeah.
Or a little bit before Trump got got sworn in.
That's
the election.
That's probably when you call it from, right? Like everyone got pretty euphoric, like the Trump trade. Everyone keeps calling it
the Trump trade. That's right. Yeah.
But to give some context, everyone, if you had missed it, we saw Bitcoin across exchanges wick way below 100, hitting 94, even 90K on some exchanges. Resulted in one of the biggest liquidations of leverage that we've seen. $1.8 billion, I believe, was the latest measure, according to CoinGlass. I think 1.5 of that was actually just longs. So for me, it's just the market got super frothy. Yeah. Everyone was on one side of the seesaw and then just had an elephant dropped on the other end.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like, I think a lot of us have been, you don't want to be bearish in a bull market, but at the same time, you got to be open and you got to be open about where things are at. And when things are so frothy, you're really just taking it hour by hour, day by day in terms of when that pullback's going to come. And,
absolutely.
We knew it was coming. So for people to be so long at that point, it's kind of like, come on, we got to learn some lessons from the past. And hopefully it hasn't completely destroyed a lot of people, but like 1.8 bill being was the biggest ever.
Someone's paid for lunch there. Yeah. I think you were going to say, sorry.
I was going to say, was it the biggest ever liquidation event that we've seen in the market so far, or as big as back to 2021?
Yeah, the elevator down in May 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
stairs up, elevator down. That you like to say?
Definitions,
true.
But I guess obviously for a lot of people maybe new to the markets, I mean, what would you sort of tell them after seeing something like this?
Yeah, I think it's just a message of like, this is normal. Yeah. Just like, it's hard at the time. I had my phone ringing, getting text messages from people like, is the top already in? Are we done now? Should we be selling? Like, this is what people do. And many people do panic sell in these points.
Yep.
I think it's important to kind of zoom out and just think about things longer term. I mean, we say this in every podcast. I guess different audiences have different ways of reacting. But obviously us longer term investors in the market, it's kind of like just another Monday for us. Like I was taking the opportunity to expand. I haven't been buying big bites in the market for a while, like just my average kind of DCA strategy. I did take a bigger bite on a couple of the assets that kind of had sold off, up to 20-25% on the day. Some of the altcoins
did not fare up well.
No. Bitcoin and ETH as well, like they I guess where we think we're at in the cycle, we still think, we've got at least, well, my perspective at least, we've got another 9 months at least left in this run into kind of 2025. So for me, it's just a perfect buying opportunity to kind of expand on those positions. And that's how I was kind of handling it on Monday.
Yeah, nice. I had a pretty similar approach. I bought some Bitcoin. It's pretty much all I bought, to be honest, which is weird for me.
Yeah, okay.
But I found out of those trenches, I was sort of saying to Ted, I was away for a lot of November when we saw a lot of the positive price action. So I missed quite a few swing trading opportunities, and I'd done quite well, I think, to date to stay on my hands. But I think just that volatility, I've had probably my best week of trading for a long time. So
yeah, it's bad, isn't it?
Out of the sort of the fire, there was definitely opportunity.
The people that are new in market and do kind of get spooked by these types of events, the last thing they would think of right now is that you've had the best trading week of your life. It's like, hey, how the hell has he done it, right? How's it been the best week for you? Is it just jumping on those opportunities, expecting that spring back or that kind of V-shaped recovery, right?
Well, there's for everyone a strategy, right? So for me, my strategy very much relies on understanding when the buyers are stepping in, and on the just lower time frame structure, for me, there was evidence of that. So I was happy to take a punt when things were down, like we said, 20%, right?
Yeah.
So just through just sheer mean reversion, things coming back up to from where they fell from, it was just I was able to define my risk and understand where I was going. It just offered just an opportunity, really, because at the end of the day, when the market falls, someone's there to pick it up, right? So just observing how the market picks it up and then creating a strategy around that, which that's just basically how I operate, was able to capitalize. Yeah.
Someone was asking me the other day about they're like, oh, I've never done any futures trading or margin trading, essentially, and obviously you'd advise people to have some experience in that type of a trade function before they step in and start doing it. Very doable on lower leverage, but it's one of those things that you need to be very careful of. But
absolutely.
Somebody asked me how do I do it, and it was kind of hard for me to describe how I do it, but I was thinking about inertia.
Yeah.
Inertia, you've got something either goes up or goes down.
Yep.
That's how I actually trade. When I think about how my brain works, I actually watch for those really strong and significant dips or rises in the market, and then wait for a couple of points of data to confirm whether we're hitting that point of inertia where we're actually starting to come back the other way.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can very easily catch on a leverage trade, you can catch 20, 30, 40% on those things relatively quickly. Obviously, it's, again, proceed at your own risk, or I guess it's something that's not for everybody, but it is, that's kind of how I think about it. Can I find that point of inertia when the trade is turning, or when that recovery is coming? And you don't always get it right. No, you definitely don't always get it right.
But that's as you sort of said, that risk management piece is so crucial, especially crypto. I mean, it's on the absolute Richter scale when it comes to volatility.
It happens fast. That's why you need to have your take profit orders and your stop losses in place. And my rule of never going to bed with a trade open is it's something that I've got caught out so many times.
Yeah.
You have a trade, I'm up 40% on this trade, it's sweet, I can go to bed. You wake up and you've been liquidated. It's damn. Why did I do that again? Anyway,
that's good. But what I did also notice through the crash, I think we've spoke about this many times on the podcast as well, when we see a massive correction through the market, obviously your majors like your Bitcoins, your ETH, even your Solana, maybe less than 10% drop. But when you look at the altcoins, absolutely ripped.
Yeah.
It offers a great opportunity to see where the market, I think, is, what it's betting as the fastest horse out of the gates. And I saw a very interesting theme, I think, through this dip, and that was DeFi. Haven't seen DeFi assets really do too much over the last, it's been so long. I can't even say how long, maybe 4 years. So a lot of them, 3 years, 2 years. There's obviously a lot of new projects as well, but they were definitely moving a lot more strongly. And compared to meme coins, it's all been meme coins. It's all been L1s, L2s for a big part of the last year. And I just also saw recently that there was a article that what was it called? Trump's World Liberty Coin. They're currently buying Ethereum, Link, and Aave. They bought $2,631. $10 million worth of ETH, sorry. They bought $3.8 million of Link and 1 million. Is it 1 million? $1 million of Aave.
You sound like Biden trying to talk numbers.
Yeah, that's a fair shout. That is a very fair shout. I feel like Biden trying to read this tweet.
Yeah.
But that's from the good guys at Look On Chain on Twitter or X. But I mean, obviously we've seen the political sphere have a real big impact on how people are perceiving the crypto markets. And again, is it some sort of link that, those assets being purchased by the big orange man is also throwing some strength?
I actually saw a video on YouTube. People can search it if they want, but it was Eric Trump
Oh yeah,
Trump's son, speaking about Bitcoin. I expected it to be super high level, like, oh, Bitcoin is cool, like how Trump talks about it. Like it's funny.
We like Bitcoin.
Yeah, we like Bitcoin. We support it. We're going to be the gatekeepers of Bitcoin. Blah blah blah, like all that stuff. But he actually spoke about it pretty well. Like he seemed to understand the basic principles of Bitcoin and how it works, and talking about limited supply and these things, which I was actually impressed by, to be honest. But interesting to hear that they're also expanding into DeFi assets, buying up some of the kind of stables of the last market, like your chain links and these assets as well, and obviously Ethereum being the supercomputer. Interesting to hear that they're also branching into those already, which the whole US strategic reserve conversation, does it also include some other assets? I guess that'll be the next China unbans Bitcoin type of story, right?
Bit spicy sauce. Yeah, it's interesting.
I think had one of those for a while, actually.
What, China?
No one's been banning it for a while, have they? Oh, it's all good news at the moment. 0% capital gains tax in the US and things like that. All these kind of...
But yeah, it was interesting, at least for me, to see that DeFi run away from meme coins. Bit of a fresh air breath, to be honest. It was just been all meme coins lately. What's your sort of take?
I seen Aave was running. That was actually one that I've always been a user of and a fan of in general, which is kind of it's probably the oldest and largest by volume and things like that from a DeFi perspective. So super useful, actually. I don't know if you've
actually some use case, right?
Yeah, real strong use case. But I do think DeFi will bounce back. That was one of the areas or categories that we had called out alongside gaming and a few others that we do think I guess will have its time in the sun. Maybe this is a bit of a signal to the market, as you said yourself, Pav, when you see those what's springing back the quickest or the strongest, which is quite let's see what happens next in that area. Yeah,
might be an interesting one. But what's your sort of take? I guess we're speaking at DeFi for a long time. We've just been talking about meme coin strategies. When you look at DeFi as an ecosystem, what sort of strikes out at you, and I guess the products that are available?
There's a lot of noise at the moment around like collateralization of assets. So like lending your Bitcoin or your crypto to get capital out without like incurring taxable events. So I think...
Not financial advice.
No.
Not tax advice. Sorry.
Not tax advice. Not tax advice, exactly. Yeah, I guess the use cases like that are popping up and going to continue to grow that's my opinion on it. I still think there is a pretty strong barrier to entry for the average user. Like,
it's pretty clunky.
Having to manage your own keys, first problem. Second problem, how do I know I'm connecting to the right DeFi platform?
How do I know what chain to
Third problem, how do I know what chain it is? It's like all these little pieces. And, there are some businesses like Infinex, DeFi Exchange, and there's platforms like this that are coming up with a really good first step onboarding perspective, like set up your account and manage your private keys through things like passkeys. Like really, nice user experiences that are kind of native in app or on an Android device, for example. But that's only one step. You still have to go on, all right, how do I get fiat in? And they don't support all these things yet. I'm sure they will over time. But I still think the whole DeFi ecosystem has a long way to go to get up, close to on par with the comfortability that a user coming in would have on a SwiftX platform or a centralized exchange type platform. I mean, that's what we do well. That's what we focus on. And then the whole question around compliance, the safety, security, the whole scam protection, all this stuff, any guarantees or assurances you have with trading on a centralized exchange, that platform or business being held to account. With DeFi,
it's like, who do you go after?
It's really it's a tricky one. I think I love the intent, and obviously being a crypto native, I support this and I will use these types of platforms for certain use cases. But the whole narrative or the question around whether DeFi or platforms or assets or protocols are going to replace everything traditional finance and replace everything centralized, I just don't buy into that yet. No. Look, I wouldn't be opposed to it one day if we were getting closer to that, but I think we got a long way to go. So that's generally how I feel about the whole DeFi ecosystem.
It does seem like one of the biggest opportunities, right, to take what exists on a technical level and sort of push it together with something that is a good user experience. Dare say something, obviously SwiftX might be looking at.
Yeah, look,
maybe.
Absolutely. we're always looking for areas for new use cases and new products across the platform. But I guess boiling it down to how many people today do we think are crypto natives and the people that are really going deep in that area? Generally, like to a platform like ours, valuable users, like people that are doing a lot, they're trading a lot, they're having a lot of movements, and as opposed to just spot buying and kind of sitting on assets. But still just represents such a small portion that, you just have to be mindful of who you're, how many people you're actually servicing versus, the other things that some of your retail people are really, really chasing at the moment. Things like people want to either spend their crypto or use a card linked to your exchange, or they want staking, right? Like, they want to be able to stake their assets and do things like that. There's a bunch of kind of higher priority from my perspective use cases there for us to look at trying to solve before we really go deep in that DeFi connection type of ecosystem.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's funny when you get into this DeFi conversation because
why is that?
And I know we'll have like some people listening to this, they'll be like, no, he's completely wrong, like DeFi is the future, and I'm not opposed to that. I just want to be very clear, like, that I just don't think that we're there yet, and the barrier to entries are.
I think even like that consultation paper that recently came out from the government.
Info 225.
That's the one. So, if you look into it, even I think they're talking about banning or like not allowing currently the safe passage of yield bearing stablecoins. So now if you look at some of the more cutting edge DeFi products that are coming out where you buy a stablecoin and it natively itself generates a yield.
Yeah.
Pretty disruptive when you think about what that could do for the banking industry, really. Like you could get all these neobanks spinning up, which use that for liquidity and take away from the current system, which, very much relies on banks buying government debt. Like,
exactly.
Very disruptive, but too useful maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. The whole yield in general it's been a gray area for the crypto industry. Depending on what asset you use, it's a different rule, and it's the feeling is that a lot of these protocols or these types of products are managed investment schemes under the laws of the AFSL authorization laws in Australia. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting space. I think we're going to see a lot of growth and a lot of new opportunities in that space. I don't think it'll be as beautiful or as seamless as what we've seen previously, just because of the nature of how these products are constructed and the warnings and disclaimers that users need to get when they're in interacting with true financial products under an AFSL regime. But I think it'll be the right construct of a product that will be able to have no question marks around it. It won't be grey anymore. It'll be in market. Anyone can interact with it, and it is safe, and you have your protections both from a company and a consumer perspective. So yeah, really excited to see what happens in that space over the next kind of 2 years.
Lots to look forward to there.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've sort of covered, I guess, the main headlines from the market. Is there anything else you'd call out?
Look, I think just from an Australian perspective, I did want to just touch on the news that came in overnight. We're on.
Oh yeah, of course.
We're Friday morning, the Friday the 13th, actually. Today.
It is too.
You all right? Keep yourself, no knives in the kitchen. AMP Super investing in Bitcoin.
Household name.
They manage about $54 billion Australian worth of assets.
Yeah.
And yeah, new story. The first of the retail superannuation dominoes has fallen, I guess, in my perspective.
On our shores too.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, look, it's always been an opportunity area. We see people on SwiftX, and you see people setting up self-managed super funds to get access to spot crypto on there directly with their own super funds. They have to do that to manage it themselves just to get the access. So AMP, I guess they're potentially going to provide an option within your superannuation to get access and exposure to Bitcoin. So really exciting. I do think they missed a trick by buying 27 million Bitcoin. They definitely should have bought 21 million in 2 lots and had the nice news story. But they're currently servicing about 620,000 members, and they're what it says here, they are ranked 12th in the last financial year of super funds.
Did you have I think you had an AUM figure there too?
Yeah, around 54 billion.
54 billion
Australian. So yeah, I think it's an interesting one. it's always like, what's next? I think about when I see these things, like, what's the next company to do it? And
Well, it has to be, right? Yeah.
Does one of the big industry super funds? They're always going to be slower
Yep.
to do these things, but
Yep.
I mean, AMP is a household name, and it's one that's been in market for many, many years. So I just thought it was an interesting story for the Aussie market, and hopefully a signal of intent for some things to come.
Mate, it's been a wild year.
Yeah.
Just another one to add to the list, right?
Yeah.
The bingo list.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, people might remember from a couple of years ago, superannuation and equities, and part of the SwiftX strategy. It was quite a big part of our strategy a couple of years ago. That you know, it's playing out now in markets. So you know,
there's demand.
It's always something that we've been keen to support. So yeah, really exciting times.
No, I think it's a good way to wrap it, mate. That was
Cool,
good.
excellent. Matt, thanks for inviting me into the new studio. It looks great in here. And
Welcome back anytime, obviously. But
what's going to happen when Ted's here and there's only got two of these funky chairs? Question.
We'll work it out.
Ted can sit on the
can sit on the table.
We'll sort it out.
Yeah, sorry, Ted. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for joining us. See you next week.